And some people like, yo, son, you dope, bro. You dope. Now, coming from a battle rapper,
I was about to say that. Some kids was
really fire.
shit. Like, he won that Blaze contest.
That's what I'm saying. Yo, I miss him, man. I don't know where he at, but wherever he at, man, I hope he's doing good. You know what I'm saying? Real talk. Woo! We're gonna have a good show.
It's gonna be good.
Documented. You know what I'm saying? So already going, right? We already live, right? That's what it is.
Like he says, document everything. Every single thing.
You know got a camera guy with you?
He's coming in a little while.
Oh,
but I'm gonna rely on what you got for right now.
No, trust me.
And when we're done, if he don't show up, then we're gonna do.
We got YouTube right there.
Talk to my live on you.
Nah, you go YouTube on top. You should ask me. Yo, go landscape mode, man. Don't do that. Yeah, thank you, baby.
All right, you ready?
Yeah, watch it. Here you go.
Cheer. Salute, Orlando and worldwide. Make sure you tuned in to check the ride with your favorite Puerto Rican, GQdaembassy, every Sunday from 6 to 7 p.m. right here on Indie Jams Radio. Cheer.
Check the line.
Check the ride.
Oh, you actually used it.
Cheer. Salute, Orlando and worldwide. You are now tuned in to another episode of Check the Rhyme right here on Indie Jams Radio. I am your favorite Puerto Rican, GQdaembassy, alongside my shooter, LV on the boards.
What up? Welcome back.
Y'all ready? You supposed to be like, chip.
You know, it's been a while. I gotta get my chips up. You know what I'm saying?
I got you. Yo, listen, I'm gonna tell you right now. Check the Rhyme. This is going to be absolutely legendary. I need this to go super viral. I need everybody and their mother to hit that subscribe button, that notification bell. You already know how to do it, man. Listen, real talk. To all my real hip-hoppers out there, we got Big Earl in the studio right now.
Yeah.
That was Big Pun's manager, just so you know.
No, hold on, let's fix that.
What was that?
You gonna give me trouble.
What?
I handled all his promotions and marketing in the South.
Right.
I did some road managing work when I put events together for him.
Yeah.
The real manager didn't need to come. They felt like he was in good hands, and they used to say, "Earl, you handle this."
So hold up. So
his,
then who
his real manager was Full Flex.
Oh, yo, rest in
Full
peace.
Flex, rest in peace. And he would break off opportunities to Gilly,
I'm about to say Gilly.
to me, to my other brother Mark.
So 1/3 of the management.
Well, yeah, we all help do road management.
All right, so 1/3
Not
of the
behind the
management.
scenes stuff, but delivering him where he needed to be at
Gotcha.
and making sure all his accommodations was met and things like that. Yeah.
I like how everything that.
No, you know what I'm saying? I don't want to offend somebody. You know what I'm saying? That's one of the reasons that I've been able to be in this business for about 30 years is because I stay in my lane. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. I
And that's how you got to do it.
That's keeping it super real.
So rest in peace to Flex, because he was
He was a real
Punch
one.
manager,
He was a real one. I might tell a story about Full Flex. Now, we got super legendary Lyricist Lounge, the Polo King. This man will steal your chuleta and hit you over the head with a maleta.
That's it.
Ready to go.
Might be the other way around. I don't know. It depends if you want to hit them with maleta first and then don't matter though. This dude is, when I'm telling you about like all y'all MCs, man, real talk, don't ever sleep on the era, because brothers like this will super school you on the mic. And this is not just because we live on the air. This is for real. This is, I can't tell you how honored I am to have you here. Earl, you my brother, man.
Yeah, no
I'm
doubt.
always honored just to even chop it up with you.
I
Just
appreciate
on text.
you always, man, from day one, man.
When he said, I'm introducing you. He said, I'm gonna chop it up with my guy, my brother, and see if I can get him on the show with you. I almost passed out. This is no lie. Ladies and gentlemen, we got Mr. Lyricist Lounge himself, Thirstin Howl the Third.
Yeah.
We need a one time.
Yeah.
Let it rock out.
Yeah.
I almost feel ashamed that I don't have my thigh
Chicharrones.
It's all good because I had some right before I came here.
Now that's
And I
called,
ain't even lying.
that's called living your lyrics for real.
I had the monitor. I stopped. Earl said, "Yo, I'm not gonna be in the crib till 2:30." So I got there a little earlier. So I stopped at the Cuban spot right next to him. I had a monitor, some perdín,
Yeah.
with some rice and beans, and you
got
made it happen.
Next time wifey makes rice and beans, being that now you're a Old Town resident, I'm gonna hit y'all up. This is real talk.
Hey, I'll
Real
show
talk.
up too. Nice and
No, we'll show. You ain't going all the way to Melbourne. I know that. We'll show up. We'll bring some real talk so you can taste some opinions.
Wow.
No. When it come to my Thursday, boy, y'all in India. Talk to me.
It don't matter.
Yeah,
It don't matter.
It don't matter. You can even throw the egg in there and make your own
ponche,
jam.
kid.
Everybody ain't up on it. My
Ponche,
grandfather put me
no.
on the ponche a long time
I
ago.
used to drink ponche.
Yeah.
So,
And he used to make it hot.
Whoa, I'm not up
He
on
used to
that.
heat up the ponche
That's
hot,
crazy.
man. It was crazy.
That's crazy. That's like feeding gunpowder to pit bulls. My
Well,
brother.
sometimes you gotta feed the pit bull gunpowder, man. It works.
Yo, so we here on for the love. This honestly, man, this is why the show was actually invented. This right here, literally, because a lot of cats in Orlando, I bring artists on and I'm schooling them, and LB will tell you I have independent artists, and I'll be like, yo, give me 5 of your favorite joints, right? But they don't really have any classics. I'm like, all right, check this out. I'm gonna play joints that your favorite rapper used to listen to. You know what I'm saying? And I'm schooling them. Today, I'm being taken to school.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
it's
saying? And this is literally what it's about. Each one teach one.
That's exactly what I stand for.
And I'm a every ever dude, and my favorite ever was the beginning, the Genesis. My favorite time was when you rocked the sheepskin. You know what I mean? One of my favorite rappers was the Cool and the Kumo D era.
Oh, yeah.
And seeing when Kumo came out with the super lyrical vocabulary, like people don't understand, how these dudes influence so many people, even to the point where a rapper of today doesn't impress me so much because they always sound like somebody from the past, but not as good as them. So, you got to do a lot to impress me because I got a chance to see everybody that ever came through the door. So it takes a lot to impress me. And, it's like I got all these rappers in me because I wasn't a fan of anybody. I was a fiend. I studied them. It was my crack and everything. So I was really absorbing everything and everybody that was super skilled. And that's from the beginning, from Sugar Hill Records times and from when there was only tapes and things like that.
Yeah.
I really grew up being a fiend of the culture and the hip hop period.
Wow. So when did you actually start when you hit the block? When were you starting to get into ciphers though?
I didn't really start getting into the ciphers until the mid-90s.
Okay.
I was hitting the trains in the early 80s. I was breakdancing in the early 80s. Like I manifested those elements of hip hop first. Like I said, as a fiend, I never even thought I could rhyme. It wasn't something that crossed my mind. Now there was a time in like 1986 where my man DJ Shy Rock used to go to a studio in Brooklyn called Funky Slice. And he was like, yo, y'all should come down to the studio with me. I practice DJing in there. Come get on the mic and play with it, right? So I remember going down to the studio in 1986, grabbing the mic and freestyling for like 2 hours.
Off the top.
Off the top of the dome. And they filmed everything. I got that tape to this day.
Wow.
And even after that day, I never took it serious. I never considered doing it. But even now, at the age I am, I will watch that tape and be like, yo, I always had it. I wish I would have started then. Because I could imagine what I would have been by 95 and 96 if I would have just stayed on the course. Because it was always within me. I always had the skill, but I just never practiced it and sharpened it until, the mid-90s I started.
You still think that way today?
As far as what?
As far as what you just said, as far as I wish I would have.
I wish I would have, man. Because I could imagine what I would have been earlier.
This is a legend who, That's phenomenal that you would even say that. Because most dudes that I've known that are already legendary, they know they're legendary. But you're like, yo, you know you're legendary, super modest, but not so modest that you don't know your position. But to be like, yo, I wish I would have been. That's
because you know, for one, I've been an independent artist the entire time. Never had a record deal or anything like that. So if I would have started in '86, I only could think of what would have became. You know what I mean? Because I waited late in time. Because the day I started rapping, like I had, it was the same situation. Everybody hanging out in my crib in Brownsville, freestyling, and I'm like, man, I could freestyle if I want. I started freestyling, and I couldn't stop. Every word was connected, and I did that every day after that one day because I couldn't remember. I loved hip hop and the music and all that, maybe even more than my own mother, man. So it was that deep of what I felt about the culture and the music and all that. So to see that I could actually do it, that's how Thirstin Howl was born. Because after that, I had to battle everybody in my path, anywhere I went. The same way you was telling me the stories, Pump. I'm pulling over, I'm doing U-turns. Yo, I'm going to clubs to wait for the rappers to come out and just standing outside a battle. I'm talking about we outside the tunnel 2, 3 in the morning. The dudes is twisted. They want to go home, but I'm like, nah, you got to battle right now.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
The tunnel itself was crazy. You go in the tunnel, you may not come out the tunnel.
I mean, when I started rapping, I used to go to the tunnel all the time, but when I became a rapper, I never went inside no more.
Oh, where you stood outside?
I hung out outside. I took my truck, opened the back, let the speakers boom, and I'm waiting for victims. You know, I'm waiting for, and I'm waiting for the famous artists. This is who I want to, bust my guns with right now with these mics, just so I want to test my. But I did that everywhere I went, to the point where everybody was like, "Oh man, you thirsty, man? I ain't going nowhere with you. You just want to battle." So everybody just started calling me thirsty, and then the Thirstin Howl just stuck to it. You know, that's how the name was born and came about, just from that situation. You know.
I remember when I first, like I said, man, Earl was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna start managing this dude. Check him out." It was during the MySpace days. Yeah. He was like, Thirstin Howl the third. I was like, the name.
And not to change the subject, but to add to the MySpace days, I know this man since we was teenagers. We was like 16 years old when we met each other.
Wow.
During some bad times that I don't really talk about. But you know, that's how we met, and we only had each other. You know what I'm saying? And because we was Puerto Ricans around the majority of African Americans. You know what I'm saying? And we was like, we only had each other. And it just so happened that we both grew up the same way and at the same time, but at two different boroughs. Okay. So when he was living, I was living. So we used to be the only Boricua in a whole black clique. You know what I'm saying? So that's how he was, and that's how I was. Like, I grew up thinking I was black. It was crazy.
Browns,
and I was the Bronx. Yeah, and I was the Bronx.
All my family in Browns was black. You know, I grew up understanding and knowing black culture more than Spanish culture. You know, that's what I was surrounded by. You know, I wasn't around my relatives or things like that to even indulge in salsa music and things like that. So I never got a chance to absorb that, to add it into my life, but it's always in my DNA. You know what I mean? So later on in life, it came out. You know, I started being around my family and my brother. I started absorbing, learning about the salsa legends. Then I started studying salsa and seeing that, to me, salsa was actually the first hip hop born, because it was born in New York City, and it was all these different musical cultures coming together to create one sound, just like hip hop. It was the same exact story, and it was born before hip hop.
Thank you. Absolutely, I agree. So technically, I know I coined the phrase "sort of Rican."
Sort of.
So the Puerto Rican, sort of Rican.
Yeah.
It's my name. I feel like you guys are definitely sort of Ricans.
Yeah.
That's what's up, Earl. Now, so you say you started out. You was doing graffiti. You was pop locking. Earl, was you doing graffiti and pop
Of
lock?
course, that was my introduction to hip hop.
So what I'm saying,
I was doing graph at 10 years old. I mean, going to the tunnels. The tunnels, breaking into, God bless me, but breaking into the train yards. You know what I'm saying? And bombing.
Yo,
at 10 years old.
The growing up, see, for me, you know what I'm saying, I grew up in Hightstown, New Jersey. I didn't get a chance to do all that train, I didn't do any train bombing, actually. I did my own little suburban graffiti, if you will. Pop locking, MCing, no doubt. But what's crazy is, when I used to go in because I take the suburban bus to the Grand Central, and then, you know what I'm saying, all my cousins say, yo, whatever you do, don't go in the last car. Wow. That's exactly what I used to do.
Of course he did. That was exciting. The last car was where all the action was at.
That was where the party was at.
And my wife will tell you, I used to, she heard many stories. I used to come there ringed up, chained up, and when she first met me, she didn't even know. She was like, "Yo, you look so New York. Nobody would have thought that you was from Jersey." Because I was like, I told her it's not even New York. It's hip hop.
That's it. That's it.
You know what I'm saying? And I was like, I never felt more at home than away from Jersey. And I love Jersey, shout out to Jersey, you know, can't forget New Jersey, the whole line and all that. But when I remember when I used to get off the D train on Kingsbridge Ave, and I would see the Raekwon, and at the time they had the Raekwon, you know, the poster for the purple tape, you know what I'm saying, built for Cuban links. I used to be like, yo, this is so hip hop. I wanted my life to feel that way every single time I got through the turnstile.
That's when you had your moment. And we all had a moment. There was always that one moment that was the day you said, this is for me.
Yeah.
He's had his, I've had mine.
I still have.
I don't think we got enough time
We still
today
have
to talk about that.
I feel like we still have our moments though. Like
We at the stage where we create the moments.
Yeah.
We've given them same moments to a lot of people to bring them into it. It's like what they call when you drive, catch the bug. You know what I mean? Like people who never drove before and they drive for their first time, they catch a bug, they want to be driving on. Hip hop had that same effect on us. Like it had this effect on us. We were actually people who manifest that effect on a lot of people at this point. You know, like I said, every era, man. I've lived every era. I've manifested through every era of hip hop.
I jumped on the scene. It's funny because I jumped on the scene in Orlando, like the Orlando scene, before there was an Orlando scene, right? And then, you know, I raised my kids and, you know, was husband and all that stuff, and that was all great. But there was always something missing in my life, right? And shout out to E. Martinez. You know, he started his show and he was like, yo, I'm calling out all them MCs, da 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 da. And I'm not lying. When I heard that on Facebook, I was like, I'm gonna do this. Hit him up, boom, did the show, spit a 16 on his joint. And since then, I came back into the scene, Orlando. By then, there actually was a scene. Shout out to Austin's Coffee Shop. I do RC Sniper, 2 Major, Sunny Town, Set Game South. Shout out to Ro. I just started seeing cats like that, Jay Terra, you know what I'm saying? Shout out to Terra. No More Yes Men. Just seeing everybody, Lou Barrow, seeing Bare Arms, this, that. I was like, where was this before? So a lot of these cats were thinking, like I was just somebody trying to get on the scene, when I was like, bro, I was here before you guys even set up. I'm just now seeing that everything is kind of popping, and I'm not trying to be a culture vulture. I've been in the culture, but I'm very modest, so I don't be like, yeah, I used to roll with this guy, I know this guy, and this guy. I just play the pool. I wanted to re-earn my position to an extent, and then from there, you know, people start. E.L. Elliott was like, yo, I heard about you guys, spoke to Earl, and then from there it was like, all right, cool, but I never let that succeed who I was, you know what I'm saying, or who I am, because at the end of the day, I'm super humble, and I always am just hungry to just always reestablish myself, like any man. I just want to prove myself. I can show it better than I can tell it, put it like that. It's one of those type of mentalities, you know what I'm saying? And that's, I always saw Orlando having the opportunity to be something that represented the culture. You said it so good with the Lozando, right? Lozone, right?
Low Life Orlando.
Yeah, Low Life Orlando, my bad. Lozone, yo. When you were saying all that, how you said, you know, Miami, you know, shout out to Miami, and their battle league is ill. But as far as maybe some of their secular stuff, you know what I'm saying, is washed up or whatever it is.
It's not much hip hop orientated in Miami. You know, there's an elite few doing their best to keep it alive, keep it strong. You know, the Crazy Hood Productions, the dudes from Drink Champs, you know, they one of the ones who was definitely holding down. The same with Low Life Miami Family. You know, we were keeping everything alive in Miami from the hip hop perspective. As far as Low Life though, you know, it's a global movement at this point where there are many sectors keeping it alive. You know, there's Georgia, there's Atlanta, there's North Carolina, there's Rhode Island, it's all over, New Jersey, New York. So the main focus of the Low Life as a culture, which it became from what it was before, is just to spread the culture of hip hop. You know, through fashion, through whatever way you choose to manifest it, and unite the people through positivity as well, you know, and righteousness, because we all come from some kind of crazy, wild background or area that didn't teach us no better. But there's no more excuses for that, because at this age and you know, with the experience everyone had, you should know better by now. You should be doing better, and you should be teaching better. You know, you don't want to teach your kids the same stuff you came up on and glorifying all the dumbness, you know what I mean? Because do you want your kids to walk that same path?
Absolutely not.
Okay, so, you know, and that's what Low Life, you know, the purpose we serving a lot right now, because it's giving people something to seek, something to be meaningful of, you know what I mean? Whether it's the art, whether it's just bonding or brotherhood, no matter what it is, you know, it's just something to grasp onto through this culture of hip hop that we love so much, you know?
That's what's up. Let's get into a song, and then I want to get, as soon as we come back, I want to get into legendary Mr.Schick.
Yeah, definitely. He's on point, man. He's excited, man. You know,
I'm excited as well. Real talk.
What's up, Facebook?
It's pre my time, but still, it's exactly what Check the Rhyme is all about.
it's all good, man.
So we gonna get into
just
my man
because
Thirstin Howl.
we're gonna be talking about Spanish hip hop and Spanglish hip hop, so that's what Mr. Schick is gonna come in. He's the father.
Hold on, real quick before we get into this. My bad, because I'm terrible. We're gonna play All in All right after that. Okay, so check this out real quick. My brothers, I just want to go into a quick prayer.
Yes.
All right, cool.
Very cool.
All right, Heavenly Father, I pray that this show has a lot of energy and we inspire, enlighten, and motivate. In your name, Jesus, we pray.
Amen.
Amen. Let's get into it. Chill. Yo, that's crazy.
What's wrong with your phone? Because I tried listening to, people saying they can't hear, and I tried listening to, and it sounds muffled.
Hold up.
I tried to take off your case.
Oh, you took it off?
I tried.
It still sound muffled?
Yeah.
GQ, that's you?
Here, hold it. So, how do I get it to stop?
Yeah, everybody out there.
A photographer's coming.
I bet.
So how do you want to do it with the you want to get him on the phone and then he introduces the song? Or you want to play the song first
I
and
have
then
to do like that. So
so
that way your phone, I never have an issue with the iPad. That way you can keep your phone on you and talk on it. Because he's already on one.
Did it, play a song, play a verse. That's a long song. Probably, you was probably, I say more than that.
Yo, what's good? Let me know if y'all can hear everything good. My fault, man. It might have been the case, you know what I'm saying? But either way, I apologize.
I think you fallen for the wife that you have given me. Cause you knew that she was strong enough to deal with me. At first she wasn't really feeling me, till she had a prophetic dream. A few years later she became my queen. I Thank you for my heaven, leaving me sleepless. I thank you, Jesus, for taking me out of Egypt.
Yo, that's my John Wilkins, man.
Who? I thought that was you.
That's my John Wilkins, man. Sounds pretty fire, boy.
Okay, just when we come back, let's start talking about the events.
Okay.
It being Hispanic Heritage Month and how we celebrate it.
You know what's funny? I just want to talk about that because I can never understand what was our month.
Well, you know, I started from the beginning, even though it's supposed to be
September?
it's supposed to be September 12th and on.
Now, I'm gonna tell right now.
They shortchanged it.
All
You
my
know what I'm saying? Just like they did the African Americans. They gave them February.
They didn't start them on the 12th of February.
Yeah, no, but they gave them a cold month.
They got to show this month, but we got 2/3 of a month.
Nobody got to know that. We just take the whole month.
That's it. Yeah, that's true.
We ain't never got to advertise the date. Just the month.
Your phone is weird.
I don't know.
It's like so low.
For real? It's so
And it's loud in here.
It's crazy, but if I'm on speakerphone, it's no problem.
You playing 2 songs or one?
Nah, just one. We got a lot of
Turn the AC off.
you got the AC off?
No, I can't hear
But
that.
you can't. You ain't gonna keep it on when you record.
Let it be in the background. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I was talking to like, yo, is it me? I was like, damn, I'm going through.
You have a phone?
I was like, hold up, I'm not shit. I'm not
Can you get it for me?
Yeah.
What kind of phone is it?
No, that's an iPhone. I don't know what
Do you
number.
need it on you right now?
So just put it.
Yeah, I got it live on right now.
Yo, real quick, let me take a shot. Yo, what's good? Make sure you go to YouTube, search Check Around Radio, hit that subscribe, hit that notification bell. You already know what it is. Yo, it's your boy GQdaembassy. Follow me on Twitter.
Can you tell me if the
Follow me
headphones are good?
on
I'm gonna raise the
Instagram,
volume.
Twitter. You can follow me at GQdaembassy, Snapchat GQdaembassy, IG at GQQ, and Check Around DJ.
Pretty good.
Is it too low?
It's a little static. Wow, that's good.
Alright.
Yeah, let's get it.
Alright,
Chip. Salute. We are back with the legends.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can bring the levels up. Levels good.
Remember, the levels are good.
The
Levels
levels,
good.
the levels.
Yo, man.
Yeah.
So let's get into this event. We're gonna talk about Mr. Schick a little bit, but let's get into this event. Explain to everybody and myself, because I caught the promo on Facebook, the post, right? And I was like, yo, Spanglish. I was like, yo, Latin History Month. I was like, this is two things that I'm definitely about. The only thing that I would have really bugged out if I saw was a bit of lechonera on top of it.
You never know, we might have a food truck set up outside. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but you know, right now, you know, it's hip hop, Hispanic Heritage Month, and we calling it Hip Hop Hispanic Heritage Month. We added the hip hop into it. You know what I mean? Because and we're doing an event next Saturday, the 21st, at the Iron Cow in Orlando. Now, there's also the release for my new project called Don Chicharron. You know what I mean? Which is a complete Spanglish, you know, situation where all the songs are done bilingual like that. A lot of salsa on it, but hardcore hip hop flipped that way. So now, before we get into the show and anything else, we're gonna have a panel discussion talking about the pioneers of Spanglish hip hop and the pioneer Latinos that was in hip hop that helped pave the way. And you know, like the father of it all was Mr.Schick from the Mean Machine. They had a song out called The Disco Dream. Mean Machine, and he spit the first ever Spanish verse on a song, you know, with a bunch of brothers from the Bronx, you know, that was kicking crazy rhymes and all that, but he kicked his verse in Spanish, and he was part of the group. This came out in like 81. I think it was on Sugar Hill Records too, right? It was on Sugar Hill Records, and it was a banger. Now, you know, my whole career, from the day I started, on all my albums, I always gave you at least 2 to 3 Spanglish songs on every album from the gate. Now, even after that, I went on to do full Spanglish albums. You know, I probably did about 4 or 5 already.
Yeah.
But all of that came from Mr.Schick. When I heard his verse in 1981, I was highly impressed by what it was. And so when I started doing my stuff, I automatically wanted to do Spanglish verse. And keep in mind that I'm growing up in Brownsville where I'm not speaking Spanish to nobody. So my Spanish was all beat up. I barely could speak Spanish most of the time.
Not so very good looking, right?
Yeah, so you already know I had to sharpen it up. But as time went on and I started doing more, you know, traveling to more Spanish places, I started living in Miami more, surrounded by mad Cubans who didn't speak English and all that. And I was able to really sharpen up my bilingual tongue and all that. So I was able to really go harder on these Spanglish projects that I was doing because my vocabulary increased. I started learning more of salsa and different forms of you know, Latin music, period, and studying it, learning about the grace and all that. But you know, it all came from the inspiration I got from Mr.Schick and hearing that verse in 1981. You know what I mean? And there were many to follow, but he was the father. And that's the one, you know, we want to play a song. We want to introduce him. We want to make sure we acknowledge. The event is basically the panel discussion we're doing that day is to acknowledge those forefathers, the Ruby D's, the Prince Whipple Whip, you know what I mean, to Tito from the Fearless Four, the Microphone Prince, Charlie Rock from the Fantasy 3, Prince Marky D, Disco Wiz, DJ Charlie Chase. You know, all these Latino brothers that stood side by side with all our black brothers together and helped create this culture called hip hop. That's why, you know, we called our panel discussion the co-creators, because we were all involved from the gate. This was created by Latinos and blacks, mainly Puerto Ricans, but we're including all the Latinos, just like all cultures do. You know what I mean? We all one.
Say it again. What's the circle called?
The co-creators.
That's fueguísimo.
You know what I mean? Because we're the co-creators of hip-hop, you know? It goes down from the breakdancing, the rocksteady crew. You know, there's so many people we could mention, man. DJ Junebug, you know, and then the West Coast, Mellow Man Ace, Kid Frost,
from
you know?
Dubious.
Yep, Son Doobie.
And Curious, we had Curious.
Stop it. You had Curious with Uptown Head.
But see, a lot of Latinos rap, but then they was like I said, the ones we've been really pushing and acknowledges were the ones who weren't afraid to spit that Spanish tongue and let it, you know what I mean?
Latino.
Yeah,
we didn't hear that a lot.
We didn't hear that from a lot of the
long time.
They never say it. Ruby D said it back in the days. He said, "My name is Ruby D, and you might think I'm black by the way I'm speaking." The first person I heard really flipping in there was Charlie Rock on from the Fantasy 3. He had that joint Summertime. And he was like, "Muy bien, Puerto Rican, the man is speaking, the man y'all seeking. Charlie Rock, when it's time to get cool, I took a dive in Central Park pool." You know what I mean? So these were moments that made me, as being a Puerto Rican, proud, man, because this was my culture, this was our culture, and they was definitely shining for us, man, and holding up that flag.
We've been in the creation of this since day one. Exactly. You know, shout out to Kool Herc. I met Kool Herc.
Yep.
He wanted to actually, I'll never forget, I used to run with Curtis Blow. Kurt was actually one of my managements. He actually did take on that. But real talk, we went to a Kool Herc party, right? And Kurt used to always have me take pictures with, it'd be Eddie Chiba, DJ Hollywood, and he'd be like, "Yo, real talk, Love Bug, yo, GQ, yo." And it'd be like, Bug and Chiba and Hollywood all be cool, right? And there'd be a couple cats that would be like, that was like the new cat, you know, the new school at that time. And they're like, "Yo, why you always trying?" He's like, "Yo, he's my artist. And I remember I used to swear Herc didn't like me. And I remember I used to tell Kurt, I said, "Yo, I don't think the father likes me, man. That kind of hurts me." Yeah, "Nah, man, he cool, man, relax."
He's a real serious dude. That's
right, that's you, man, chill. Check this out, So check this out. So we went to Mount Vernon, money earning about Mount Vernon, man, shout out. Yo, we went to a Kool Herc jam, and I told Kurt, I said, "Yo, Kurt, I'm telling you, Herc don't like me, man. I don't know why he fronting on me." He like, "Man, chill, man, stop tripping." We go in there, it wasn't even about 15 minutes. I had on a Kerry Collins Giants jersey, right? And this was during the throwbacks, but it wasn't a throwback, it was a current at that time. Now it'll be a throwback. And I'm chilling with Kurt, and I seen her look at me from the distance, and shout out to her, man, wherever you at, man, I love you, man, real talk, you probably don't even remember this night, but he gets on the mic and he says, yo, if I see another dude with a throwback jersey, I'm kicking you out of my party. I said, I told you, Kurt, talk to your man, yo, he bugging out. And Kurt was like, nah, chill, relax. We stayed and we had a good time, and, you know what I'm saying, but shout to Cool Herc, but real talk, I was like, wow, this is crazy. But anyway, do you kind of feel like that with some new school artists today? Like if you see them, you probably be like, bro, you got to get out of my jam or something.
Nah, man. I mean, I respect everybody and what they are, and you know how they choose to represent it. As long as you're not with the negative.
I definitely wasn't with the negative.
So you know, it's like everybody got a different vibe and a different aura. You know. Yeah. I'm gonna give you the same energy you give me. Yeah, so you know, I do my best to be polite to everybody and humble, but as soon as when you show your teeth, then that's when the teeth and the fangs come out and all that. You know what I mean?
I mean, you know, I hear you, brother.
But you know, like I said, we all came from the nonsense, man, and you know, through time and experience and consequences, man, you learn the difference, man, and I definitely learned the difference of what I was doing wrong and what was wrong, and you know, mentally, I'm at a whole nother space right now. You know, I have a lot of understanding of what the world is, not just what I come from, the world in general. So I know what mistakes not to repeat. I know how to conduct myself in any room and with any kind of crowd. You know what I mean? And that's just being a mature man at this point. So, you know, like I said, that's why we're here to represent Hip-Hop Hispanic Heritage Month and give mad love to our pioneers who paved the way, and all of those, you know, Latinos that represented in hip-hop, you know, Chino XL, Don Pacino, Aguilar, you know, all the Puerto Ricans, man, who held their heads high and held that flag up high, and they represented us, man. They made me proud to want to do this, you know.
It's funny you said Chino XL. I remember
Chino's a monster.
Yeah, I remember when I first used to start rolling to Fun's house when he lived in Castle Hill, and he loved Chino XL.
Yeah, Chino was beast, man. He's one of my superheroes, man.
He used to, I never forget, we used to go in, shout out to my best friend JJ. We used to go into his Hyundai XL and Paul would be like, hold up, let me get my Chino XL CD.
That's real.
You know what I'm saying? That. And that is Smooth the Hustler.
Yeah, Smooth is. Right now, I'm talking to Smooth today, man. The Smooth, I'm waiting for my verse.
Shout out to Smooth the Hustler.
Yo, Smooth the Hustler is my favorite MC out of Brownsville.
Yo.
It's like, you know, I'm from Brownsville. I love all the Brownsville artists, you know. I grew up with everybody in Brownsville. But Smooth is my favorite. Him and his brother, they like, you know, when that album dropped and all that stayed on repeat, man. They style, they lyrical abilities, they synchronization together and all that is definitely legendary.
Weren't they signed with Ice-T? Ice-T had
they down with Ice-T as a group, you know, they SMGs, you know what I mean, with Ice-T, so they definitely do a lot of work and all that with Ice to this day.
Nice.
You know? So it's a beautiful combination.
Shout to Brooklyn, real talk, man. Shout to Greenpoint, my cousin Rob.
Shout out to Ice-T.
Shout out to Ice-T. That's
Ice-T's my OG brother.
Ice-T is for real. Hustler. Hustler. Like before Cassidy was the hustler,
Ice-T was the first
hustler.
dude I ever saw with a GPS in his car in the early, like in the late 90s.
I can tell you a cool story involving Ice-T. I was 12 years old hanging out in the PAL in the Bronx.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody said, hey, we got some guy coming from the West Coast today. He's coming to learn how to do the electric boogie. He's going to be in a movie called Breaking in California, right? This is a true story. I'm 12 years old, sitting, hanging around 14, 15-year-old guys from my neighborhood. They used to call themselves the Fascinating Force.
Okay.
They were the crew that had Mr. Wiggles. And Mr. Wiggles, worldwide, so today, probably the best electric boogie artist in the world. So they say, this guy's coming. They didn't even mention his name. Right. They just said, some guy coming from California, he's going to pay. He's going to pay so-and-so to teach him some moves. So we're all just hanging around. Yeah. And sure enough, Ice-T walked in the room. I don't know who he is. He had real long hair. You know, he had a real skinny chain. And he was with a very, very beautiful woman. Mm-hmm. So all us teenagers, it's like, yo, look at that girl. Who is that? You know what I'm saying? And it was his you know,
wife
his
at the
baby
time.
mother
Yeah.
before she was his baby mother. You know.
Mhm.
But anyway, he came and he introduced himself to Mr. Wiggles. They were talking, but as they was talking, we had some cats from my neighborhood banging on the table, rhyming.
Yes.
And this is a true story because I ran it by him when we ran into each other about 10 years ago in the airport in Vegas. And he was just sitting back listening to the story like, where's this dude going to with the story?
Yeah.
And then it hit him. But as he was listening to my boys rhyming, he just told Wiggles, hold on a minute. And he just kind of walked to the table. And he sat down and was just like listening to these people rhyming and banging on the table.
Yeah.
So anyway, to make a long story short, about a week later, a guy from the neighborhood named Mickey Benson,
Okay.
and I know you know Mickey Benson. Mickey Benson did some management work with Pun and Joe.
I might have met him, but I don't
and
think
he's
I know
still
him,
he's
though.
still Ice-T manager to today.
Wow.
Okay, so Mickey Benson is legendary.
Getting that Law and Order money.
Google him. Yeah, he's getting Law and Order money, and he's still getting residuals for New York Undercover. Everything Ice-T's been on as far as Hollywood
Yeah.
was pretty much put together by Mickey Benson in the beginning,
Okay.
because he was friends with Dick Wolf.
Okay. Yeah. Wow.
Okay. So anyway, to make a long story short,
Yeah.
I run into Mickey Benson, or actually, you know, I just happen to be at the right place at the right time all the time. And I'm just hanging around these older cats. And here come Mick, and he starts talking to the older guys in the group, you know, the 18, 19-year-old guys. And he says, we just signed Ice-T to a record deal with Warner Brothers. So they were like, the kid that was here the other day with the long hair and the girl? Yes. And they said, Mick, how'd you pull that off? And he said, we walked in there with confidence, and we told Warner Brothers we had 3 albums already made.
Wow.
When they asked who did the work, we told them. We said, Jazzy J, Africa Bambaataa, Africa Islam. He said, you know, he just started naming all the neighborhood people. Nobody did a song yet. There wasn't nothing
They were just
even
throwing it
recorded.
out there.
Yeah.
But they got the deal, yo. They won in there.
Wow.
And that's how you know Ice has been a hustler since day one.
Yeah. He sold it
He
without
sold
even having it.
a record deal without playing a song.
Nah, he a hustler for real. 'Cause
So shout out to
I bought
Ice-T.
his
I love that
record.
story.
I bought his record and I didn't even have a record player. When his record came out from when the movie Breaking,
Uh-huh.
I bought the single and I didn't even own the record player, man.
But you
That's-
had it, whatever.
Yeah, that's how much I enjoyed his performance and all that. That was respect.
And he's a great actor. I give him
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
He's a great actor.
Yo, Breaking, come on, man. 1 and 2.
I mean, I ain't gonna lie, I watched those movies because I was thirsty. I just wanted to learn
That's what I'm
anything that
saying.
had to do with hip hop. I was there. I watched Flashdance 3 times in a
couldn't
row.
get with the fashion and Breaking. That was.
Yeah, it was just
It
different.
was different. Yeah, it was
we had the
different.
same concept.
I was confused.
That
though.
was just
I
different.
was young. I was really young. So I was like,
They had the punk rock music.
that don't look like New York to me.
Yeah, but you know what? When hip hop first started in my neighborhood,
West Coast,
besides the
yeah.
kids in you know on Fox Street, Longwood,
Yeah.
you know Prospect, you know they were b-boys.
Yeah.
They were always you know with the Lees and you know the T-Ray shirts and.
And the
But,
Montnecks and
but when I
the
used to
D's.
and the British Walkers and
Oh, word.
but when I used to go to an actual jam, and if it had something to do with the Cold-Crush Brothers,
Yeah.
most of the time, those or the Furious Five, those guys used to show up to perform in leather outfits,
Yep.
dog
And
collars,
suits and all that.
Jerry curls. You know what I'm saying? Some of them had long braids with
Shout out to
the
Curtis Blow.
you know with the beads in the braids.
Yeah.
Like
Oh,
break
yeah,
down,
yeah,
You
yeah.
know, and that's how they used to.
Rick James.
Yo, and a lot of leopard, right? A lot of leopard skin.
That was a lot
fur.
of Furious
That's
Five.
how
and-
they used to show up.
Soul
That's true.
Sonic Force. But you know, back then they were more emulating Zap and the Funkadelic. They were
Yeah.
really because
Yeah.
that was a time when
From
that's
punk rock,
how
Yeah.
But because that's not how people were really dressing in the street.
Yeah.
That's what the entertainers would
Yes.
wear on stage.
Right, yeah.
Because if you would see them on the street, they didn't
wasn't
have
wearing
none,
that.
yeah,
They
they
wasn't
have none of
wearing
that.
that.
Even like when you saw a lot of Melly Mel, like I remember when Trinidad James came out, right? And
Wow.
everybody was New York was
Oh,
making fun of him,
yeah.
trying to diss him and all that. And somebody from the area he from put up a picture of Melly Mel and the Furious 5 album cover and be like, what y'all talking about? Y'all been doing that. You know what I mean? I was like, yo, but that's just how they were dressing on stage. It wasn't being worn like that in the
when
streets.
Run DMC came, we was like, okay, good.
Yeah.
We can rock what we rock in the
Yeah,
street.
I heard an interview the other day that they were saying how Run DMC made all New York wear Adidas, and I'm like, nah, man. The New York made Run DMC wear Adidas.
It's the opposite.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah, because we were the streets, man. We were dictating what was happening to the entertainers and all that. I mean, those same entertainers, though, they were influencing the rest of the country and world. But they weren't the influence to New York. They were influenced by New York.
Right.
And then they was influencing the world. You know?
Right there.
Yeah, absolutely. And the confusion still it ensues because a lot of people don't realize, well, I mean, nowadays, you know, a lot of the artists that are out that are really like, I don't even know what's going on with it. When they started rocking skinny jeans, I was like, I don't know what, and someone tried to say, well, you know, you dissing the skinny jean, but you guys wore straight legs.
Straight legs. But it
wasn't tight. Yeah,
it wasn't that tight.
I mean,
only the ankle part.
Sometimes, remember, dudes was even doing the shoestrings and all that, making it look like the karate, because everybody was copying the karate moves.
Yes.
That's where it was coming from, that whole style. Like, I used to straight leg my leads and all that, do it myself, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it never was tight around my ankles or anything like that, you know what I mean? But you know, it's a different generation, man, different evolution, man. The same way, you know, we feel about this generation now, our parents felt about our generation. That, you know, when I look at that and I look at the styles my children like and all that, I just try to have that understanding and acknowledgement, man. It's just, this is their time. It's their way to express themselves, you know, whether we agree with it or not. Yeah. You know, when I see a lot of people, you know, putting it down and this and like, I don't gotta agree with it, but I don't gotta diss it either, man. To each his own, you know?
Yeah, until they start trying to diss the forefathers, then I'm like, nah, you bugging.
Then they get
and that's the and you know, that's a problem too that I see with most of the younger generation that's out here making music. You know what I mean? I wouldn't be here, and he wouldn't be here, and you wouldn't be here if we wasn't somehow, right, showing respect and love to the forefathers. Right. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, which is something I've been doing for years. A lot of people say, like, what's Earl's involvement? Like, what did he actually do? Did he rap? Did he DJ? You know, I think what really gave me the voice was actually being a PR person, being behind the scenes, you know, speaking for our people. You know what I mean? And for a long time, you know, it was like I was talking to a brick wall because people would just kind of like shut me down and be like, hey, you know, that's all good, but you know, like ain't but a few of y'all, you know, and they were always stuck, like mentioning Joe or Beat Nuts or Pun when Pun came. You know what I'm saying? So it actually took Pun to go platinum, right? To make my voice extremely strong because I ain't gonna lie, once we went platinum, I didn't have to call people. Like everybody I was trying to put something together with, whether it was a fashion deal, whether it was an ad, or however I could try to sell Pun. Yeah. You know, used to tell me things from, I swear to God, I had one guy once tell me, I will not make clothes that big. Just like that. I was so hurt, I could not even relate that message to my client and say, yo, you know what, we didn't get the deal because he said that. Yeah. You know what I mean? But those same people that told me no, once we was on TV and we had the #1 song in the country, all of them called me.
They said, wait, you want? Oh, you want?
No. The guy said, I'm gonna tell you right now, and we make it quick and short so we can move on. Yeah. But I had one guy who called me and said, hey, you know what? I'm ready to do the $5,000 for the photo shoot. Wow. And I said, damn, you about 2 days short and late because we had $10,000.
Thank you. That's how you do it.
I just got one question.
Go ahead.
When they came back around, did you say go that way?
You know, I wanted to, and I'm gonna tell you right now, that's probably why he said that in the video, which I know exactly why he said that, but that's another story.
I'm gonna tell you one.
That was going back to somebody that he used to deal with a long time ago, who didn't believe in him and didn't want to do nothing with him, but then started calling him out of nowhere and wanted to be part of everything he was doing, and that's who he was talking about. Go that way. That meant to that guy.
So let's get into another joint, right? And then let's get.
Yeah, you gotta get
Schick
Mr. Schick on the phone.
Yeah, Mr. Schick.
And we'll play his verse, you know.
So we playing his joint right now?
That's what we playing. What's coming
Return
up?
of the Polo.
Yeah, play
this
that.
is my
This
joint.
is
Right.
Matter of fact,
This one of my
yo,
favorite joints.
let me tell you about, this is part 2 to a song I had called The Polo Rican, was one of my biggest songs that P.F. Cutton produced for me. So it's like me attack, I'm known for the polo and all that, so I was disrespecting all other clothing brands on it. When I did the deal for the Polo Rican song, I did it with John Schechter from Game, right? So he told me, yo, I want you to make a song like 50 Cent did, dissing all the rappers. I'm like, I'm not gonna be dissing rappers for nothing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I like, this is what I'm gonna do. And I dissed all the labels. But this was actually part 2 where I felt I had to come back and diss some labels again, because I think they forgot a lot of people were bigging up a lot of whack fashion that never had no respect or props on the street. So, and I had to do it to the Just Begun beat, by Jimmy Castor. And the craziest part of this song is Jimmy Castor heard this song before he died.
And he approved it.
That's the.
And I worked with his son Jimmy Castor Jr. at MTV for a bunch of years, and when I did the song, I sent it to him and he let his father hear it. And then he said, his father said, yo, the song was really clever. As far as the
blessings before he
yeah,
died.
so that was a blessing for me, because I was a big Jimmy Castor fan at the same time when it came to breakdancing. Whenever Just Begun came on, that means it was on.
That was the call of the wild.
Yeah.
That's crazy. All right, so
Line up.
Let's get into that joint right now. You already know what it is. Big
Return
Earl,
of the Polo
Thirstin Howl
Rican.
the Third.
Yes,
Your
sir.
favorite sort of Ricans.
Know it.
Your boy GQdaembassy. Check the rhyme. Indie Jams Radio.
Yeah.
Chill.
You clean that song up?
Yeah.
I hope so.
That's the version you gave me. It was clean.
Oh, I didn't even know you did that.
And Curse did it.
Yeah, motherfucker. That's the first thing I heard.
When I had it, I asked him for the edited version. I probably gave it to you. I thought that was it.
He was like, this is
I
edited.
hate making it, because
I'm gonna change
I don't be getting on radio play, so I don't make radio songs. I'll be against it.
If
You got this guy on the phone yet?
No, I'm gonna pull him on now.
Let's get him on the phone.
I didn't want to do it while you guys were talking
It don't
because
matter. I'll be in here early, but
Yeah,
I'll
help.
be in this radio.
because it don't rain while you guys are talking.
Depends on how much you want.
Man,
We don't want to play his whole song.
that's straight. I'll
No, I'm not talking about this one. I'm talking about the next one. Let's get
What's that
it
one
to
called?
it's called Disco Dreams.
got it.
So
Yeah, that one's
I don't know
long.
exactly where you need to.
It's like 6-7 minutes long.
Yeah. So
I got maybe like after 2.5 minutes.
I just want to do it where I don't want to miss the
I don't know how the
verse.
sound is.
If you want to check it real quick, can you check it? You know, so maybe I have to do it on
I got it on lockdown. Appreciate everybody.
I'm gonna look at the
Appreciate
song.
everybody here. You already know what it is, yo. It's return to check the rhyme. You already know. You got it. Make sure you like, share. Also, make sure you go to YouTube, search Check the Rhyme Radio. Hit that subscribe button, hit that notification. We need to get over 1,000 so we can get that live stream. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to get that live stream popping. YouTube is actually over there. But you already know what it is. We got Thirstin Howl the Third. We got Big Earl. We got me. Your favorite song. What's up, it sounds much better now. Alright, that's what it was. It was the case. Appreciate it, bro. So for Christmas, you already know what I need. I need a new case for Samsung Galaxy 9 Plus. You just saying, I'm
Ando Bango.
Chill.
Hey. What's up, Blaine? It's good, Black.
I'm going back and forth.
Oh, you just gonna be there all the time?
No, I'm going back and forth.
Oh, but she on Indie Jams Live. What up, everybody? What's good? What's good? What's good? What up, YouTube? Appreciate y'all. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. I'm over here bugging out. Hit that subscribe, hit that notification bell. Make sure you share the video. Why? Just because. This is legendary right now. Check the Rhyme Radio, Indie Jams Radio, Big Earl, Thirstin Howl the Third.
I Am Kyle, Saturday, September 21st. Don't shoot your home release. No Borders Art Competition. Co-creators panel discussion. Saturday, September 21st.
And I'm in my B-boy stance, in case you don't know. You already know what it is. B-boy stance. This ain't waiting for the bus stance. This is B-boy stance. Shit.
He says you're gonna have a electro net out.
Yo,
Yo, please have no extra man.
Yo, tell me the platform again.
Yo, real talk, hit me on SoundCloud. Absolutely hit me on SoundCloud. That's another reason why. Packages now are digital, so you got hit me on SoundCloud, hit me on IG, GQ on Instagram, hit me, what's the other one? Snapchat. I'm using Snapchat. Hit me on Snapchat at GQdaembassy. Hit me on SoundCloud at GQdaembassy. Hit me on Twitter at GQdaembassy. And everything else, I'll let you know after.
The song go to like 3 minutes and 55 seconds. Come and do that.
What's up, live?
You already know what it is. GQdaembassy. Check the rhyme. CTR23. We got Big Earl.
Yeah.
We got Thirstin Howl the third.
Yeah.
Accept no imitations. This is underground hip hop
Hip hop, period.
at its forefront. Yeah, let 'em
Skilled
know.
hip hop.
Yeah, when Thirstin Howl says it, damn it, believe it.
They try to categorize, the different levels of hip hop, which is true at this point. There's different scenarios for hip hop, but I never heard the word underground until I heard the word Puff Daddy. They never separated us before. You was hip hop, you was hip hop. Once it got so commercialized, then they started separating and calling it underground and things like that. I never heard that term before.
I
until the 90s.
I love underground only because and shout out to P. Diddy. He's done a lot for the culture.
Yeah.
But
Definitely rap.
But at the time when he first all that shiny suit stuff, all the street MCs, we was not rocking with them. We just wasn't. Real talk. I'm being real with you. Now, if you was a street MC and you was trying to get on a bigger platform, you most likely probably didn't have much of a problem with it because you understood that was a budget. Street MCs were like, we just trying to keep it so hard.
It was a formula.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because
winning formula.
And it won because look, it gave the Locks, the longevity in the game. It gave Mace. All of them were skilled MCs from the street. And it even to the point where Jay-Z followed that formula.
Yeah, he did.
And it's why he won.
Shout out to OC.
He knew to have the balance, you know what I mean? You could be the ill street rapper and all that, but then they understood you had to make the people dance or you had to make songs for the radio. Me, I never really danced. I wasn't no dancer. I ain't go in the club and dance, so I ain't care about making a dance song.
So real quick, let's do this. Let's call it Mr.Schick.
Yeah.
Because what time
And
is
shout